Good morning, everyone. It's my privilege to welcome you all to the 244th webinar in the AABN series. This milestone reflects the strength of our network and the dedication of our members. Over the past 66 months of cooperation, AABN has grown into a dynamic and inclusive platform, enabling entrepreneurs to connect, collaborate, and thrive. Our innovative virtual forum has allowed us to scale our reach, bringing together diverse voices across regions and genders while staying true to our mission to empower the entrepreneurial community. Together, we build a space that is not only creative but also a critical driver of development. Today, we are honored to host our distinguished guest speaker, Mr. Jayasanckar Rajamanickam, founder and director of Safe Haven Consulting. Mr. Jayasanckar is a seasoned environmental, health, safety, and sustainability leader with over 30 years of experience across multinational corporations and firms. A chemical engineer specializing in industrial safety, industrial hygiene, environmental control sustainability. He is also a qualified auditor in ISO 45001, ISO 14001, and PSMS standards. His career spans leadership roles at Dalmia Group, EAD Parry, Jubilant Organizers, GE Global Research, Honeywell International, GlaxoSmithKline, Britannia Corporate, and most recently as Chief Sustainability Officer and Senior Vice President EHS at EAD Parry India Limited. Can you mute who's speaking there?
Chenny, can you please go on mute, please?
Can you mute Chenny? Hello? Can you mute Chenny? Can you please mute? Okay. Along the way, he has enabled certification of 30 plus sites under ISO 45001 and ISO 14001. Spearheaded SDG aligned governance frameworks across industries, executed major projects in construction, demolition, and chemical plant commissioning, reduced accident rates through innovative behavior culture models, championed EHSS programs across India, Middle East, Asia Pacific, with oversight extending to Americas, China, Japan, Korea, and Australia. What makes his presence today especially meaningful is that Mr. Jayasanckar is one of our own and alumnus of the 1992 batch of chemical engineering. His journey exemplifies the values we cherish at AABN: innovation, perseverance, and excellence. Welcoming back to alumni to share their expertise strengthens our bonds and inspires our community. We are deeply grateful to him for joining us today, and we look forward to learning from his insights on shaping the future of sustainable industry practices. Thank you. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Gopi, and I would like to thank AABN for the opportunity. And let us go ahead. See, what I wanted to talk about is about, safety is something which we all know that it's an important thing for everyone. At the same time, right, there is a tendency that we take it as take it as granted. Okay, so before we even move into the subject part of it, right, I would like to just, pass on to us a short video, right, that let's see how the audio works. And basically it's about a person who met with an industrial accident. And I'll just move to the next slide, please. And before that, we will be covering, these are the topics that we look at. We look at leadership and safety video, and then a reflection on Charlie Moorcraft, right, about his own personal accident that he went through and how he overcame it. It's a very brief stuff, right? Let's look at how the audio works for us. But the reason I always show it in all my trainings is because, when a person goes through a lot of, difficulties, like, there is a tremendous learning. But not all will be fortunate to survive after an accident, right? It's all takes just a millisecond for life and death, right? So we have to be very cautious on that. So we'll have a small reflection on that. It's for a short video, and then we will look at how I always love the elephant, and not only that, it gives a lot of lessons, right? And we'll again see a short video about some of the elephant behaviors, and then we will reflect on it, and then we'll move to some of the safety statistics, right? The ILO, what is the safety statistics, and Indian safety statistics, and how safety is a value proposition, right? Between people, business, and reputation, and what drives the behavior, right? That we will talk about the culture iceberg. So most of us know, but we need to really look into it in a deeper sense, not only from a safety standpoint, also from the quality and productivity standpoint. All these three are interdependent. And then how the psychosocial factors is impacting safety and environment. And then a couple of models just to open up ourselves, right? In terms of Hudson Safety Culture Model and DuPont Bradley Curve. These are all, the same models, but in a different way, how the organization undergoes a transformation, and how we move from reactive to interdependent culture, right? And some of the incidents and their impact, what are the systemic issues that causes these accidents, and we'll have question answers and any other talking points that we have, right? I hope I'm audible, and I'm moving to the next slide, please. So this is a video that I'm going to share, and just in case if you have difficulty in hearing it, use your headset. And if it is a challenge, probably you need to go through some of the pointers that will show up as we move on, right? In that video itself. I'm playing the video now.
I reached over and grabbed the blank by the stem and I gave it a heave. From somewhere in that pipeline, to this day I'm unaware, I got a surge of material. Came gushing out and hit me smack in the eyes and ran down all over the front. I was temporarily blinded. And I wanted to take off running for a safety shower that was located maybe about a half a block away. And it took me a minute to get my eyes clear enough so I could see to run. I finally got them clear. I took off running across the platform and down the stairs. And as I ran past the truck, I could see it coming. I could actually feel it coming. I saw the vapors drifting over to the truck. Saw them hit the truck. Saw the truck blow. The whole area blow. And I blew with it. I can remember thinking and debating, am I going to make it to that safety shower? Should I keep on running? Or should I just stop and die where I am? Safety is not about statistics, not about money, it's not about Comcast, it's not about any of that. Safety is about going home at the end of the day, kissing your spouse, hugging your kids. It's personal. That's it. And if you don't make it personal, the guy in the field, guy or gal in the field, could care less about your Comcast. They don't care about your AII, your accident injury index. You don't care about pyramids. They do care about their families. And if you don't gear it that way, you're going to be spinning your wheels. I get so concerned when I come to a facility. They're going to sit there and say, well, thank God that'll never happen to me. What caused this accident was my attitude towards safety. My attitude towards safety. And if you have the same attitude towards safety I had, these things will happen to you. Same thing will happen to you. The circumstances may be different, but the feelings are exactly the same. And believe me, the feelings of your loved ones are exactly the same. I never ever realized the impact the accident would have on my family, especially, well, my whole family, but especially my children. I never would have taken any of the shortcuts that I took if I knew what it was going to do to my children. I just don't mean going home, I mean the quality of life that they had. I destroyed it. I destroyed it with my accident. So that's what you got to get across. There's so many things that could have been done that day to prevent this accident. So many things. I had my safety glasses on. I probably would have been able to see well enough to get out of there in time. If I shut the truck off, probably wouldn't have happened. If I followed procedures, it definitely wouldn't have happened. If they're not following a procedure, and believe me, ask your first lines, they know what's going on. ask them why they're not following procedures. I didn't follow the procedures because the procedure was tough to do. If they had asked me, I would have told them, fix that valve. All you got to do is get somebody out here to grease it up, get a mechanic out here to figure out what's the matter with it. The accident wouldn't have happened, but that didn't happen. Just ask. They're people, not machines. Safety equipment is uncomfortable. Seatbelts are uncomfortable. We know it's uncomfortable. Learning how to get around for the rest of your life on those wheelchairs you drive with your shin. That's uncomfortable. Or learning how to get around for the rest of your life on those canes with red and white tips on them. That's uncomfortable. I want you to see this up close and personal. This is what's uncomfortable today. These scars are what's uncomfortable today. You know how many times I've stood in front of a mirror and looked at that and said, why? Why the hell did I do it? Just so I could be comfortable and work for a couple of hours? Or so I could look cool and macho? Now for the rest of my life, I have to look at that. For what? It's our responsibility. Our responsibility. You've got to start accepting responsibility for our own safety and stop looking for other people to keep us safe. And you've got to start caring about one another out there and taking care of one another. Please, please, everyone deserves a future.
Yeah. See, the reason I just share this in the beginning of all my safety sessions is because, Charlie was working in a company called ExxonMobil. He had around 27 years of experience, right? And on a particular shift, what he does is he, kind of took a shortcut to just, drain off a, hot chemical liquid. And when he pulled off the blind, right, and it gushed on him and he got totally burnt, right? For those of you who are really interested, you can see it in the YouTube. It's a 30-minute video. He completely narrates it and it's worth seeing that, right? And see, what he's saying here is about the scars and what his children underwent because of his accident. They were deprived of, the educational part, the emotional support. And he had a heavy loss. Not only that, he lost many years to recover. It's, I think, more than, 10 years or so. But later on, he came back and then he started his own organization. He still lives. And this is a video that he shares about what is the pain that we went through. But not all will get an opportunity to live again after an accident. It can be an accident at home. It can be an industrial accident. It can be an accident at road. And his wife will leave him, right? She will divorce him because he couldn't really take care of her. And the daughter will say that, Dad, you are not there when I was needing you most. So these are the stuff, that emotional stuff we all are, kind of connected to. And everyone deserves life. And, if something happens to us, that day we realize that how it is important. Life is important. So this is one reflection that I wanted to leave it with you, and I would request you to just spend some time in terms of go to the YouTube and just look at the rest of the video in full, right? And as we move, right, I just wanted to position with another video, right? That's about the elephant which I was talking about, right? And please have a look at it, and then we have some short discussions, and then we can move on to the further subject. Thank you.
Welcome to Amazimals. Did you know that elephants aren't just strong, they're also some of the most emotionally intelligent creatures on Earth? Today, we're diving into the world of elephants to uncover how their empathy, strong bonds, and teamwork can teach us valuable life lessons. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll walk away inspired to lead with compassion and build stronger connections in your life. Elephants are family-oriented animals. They live in herds led by a matriarch, the oldest and wisest female. Every member of the herd has a role to play, from protecting the young to guiding the group toward food and water. But here's what makes them unique. They're not just surviving together, they're thriving because of their emotional connections. Think about it. How often do we forget the importance of emotional bonds in our own families, teams, or friendships? Elephants remind us that strength comes from supporting each other, not just physically, but emotionally too. When an elephant is in distress, others in the herd will gather around to comfort it. They use their trunks to touch and soothe, almost as if they're saying, "You're not alone." This kind of empathy is rare in the animal kingdom, but elephants excel at it. How often do we pause to check in on someone who's struggling? Sometimes just letting someone know you're there for them can make all the difference. Elephants teach us that empathy isn't a sign of weakness, it's a source of strength. Did you know elephants make decisions as a group? The matriarch may lead, but she listens to the herd, taking cues from their behavior before deciding on the best route to food or water. It's a balance of leadership and collaboration. Imagine if we approached leadership like this, not as a one-person job, but as a collective effort where everyone's input matters. Elephants show us that great leaders don't just give orders. They guide with wisdom and listen with respect. Elephants pass down knowledge from one generation to the next. Older elephants teach the younger ones survival skills, like finding water during droughts or recognizing threats. It's their way of ensuring the herd's future. Think about the lessons you've learned from your parents, teachers, or mentors. How can you pass that knowledge on to others? Elephants remind us that leaving a legacy isn't about wealth or status. It's about the wisdom we share. When elephants face challenges, they face them together. Whether it's protecting the herd from predators or rescuing a member in trouble, they unite to overcome adversity. Their strength isn't just in their size, it's in their unity. In life, we all face challenges. But what if we tackled them as a team, supporting each other through the tough times? The elephants show us that together, we're unstoppable. Today's lesson from Amazimals: compassion, empathy, and unity make us stronger. Just like elephants, we can lead with wisdom, support each other through tough times, and leave a legacy of kindness. So who in your life could use a little empathy today? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, I hope you could see the short video about it, and this is an interesting video which gives a lot of message, right? And what I would want to leave here over this is, right, these animals, right, the matriarch is something which is a female elephant, which is the oldest in the group, and she leads the group. And not only that, she knows where there is water, source of water, where there is source of food. And this is not just they learn from their ancestors, right? And this matriarch decides everything, right? In terms of movements, if there is a risk, she will be the one who will try to sensitize them. So there are a lot of interesting stuff that we learn. When an animal kingdom has such an intelligence, we as human beings, right, we need to care for the people who work for us, not only in our organization, even at home and other places. So that's something which we should, that's a key takeaway that I have from this video. Everyone may have their own takeaways. So I'll leave with that, and then we'll move to the next stuff, right? Thank you so much. Yeah. So if you look at the International Labour Organization, right, this was established to protect the laborers, right? Because several years back, there is no working regimen, right? There is kind of, people work for long hours. There is no, I would not say that they don't have a rest regimen, and even there is no holidays for them. That the rights were not there. So this was established long time back, and then the codes and standards was released. And from there, these are some data which may not be picture perfect, but you'll get a picture of, there is a 1 million work-related fatalities happens, 1 million, right? And if we are in that 1 million, how the family will get affected. That's a thought I would like to leave here. And more than 250 million people, they get absent from work the next day, right? And we do a lot of work, and industries, we have different types of industries, chemical, sugar, petrochemical, then engineering industry, automotive industries, right? And we have all kinds of cottage industries. We also happen to hear about accidents happening every year in Shivakasi. We hear a lot of fire incidents happening. So this is the statistics that, which is always in front of us. And generally what happens in safety, we always think that it's not for me, right? And that is almost 6,85,000 accident happens every day. And if you look at it, there is an accident every 8 seconds. Can you believe it? This is a kind of statistics that leaves us. And even in India, if you look at it, right, I'm talking about only the organized sectors, right? The organized sectors are the industries that have been licensed, and the rest of the 95% are not licensed, right? Only 5% are almost the licensed ones. And there is close to 4 lakh industrial accidents that happens, and 1,000 plus fatalities that happens, right? This is not a small number, right? And these are the ones which are properly reported. There are several accidents that gets not reported for various reasons, right? So this, I leave with the statistics, because statistics is something which make us to believe. We always believe in science, and science comes with data, and these are the data which is very authentic, and we need to go by that. And we should always think that what if it hits my organization, what it hits in the place where I work. That's with the thought process I move on to the next stuff. So why safety is a value, right? See this, when we looked at the elephant video and the story behind it, it's a social responsibility, right? Everybody have the right to live, and they have the right to have their own rest regimen, and the work-life balance, so on and so forth. So it's a social responsibility, and there is a legal compliance, right? There are several acts and rules that have been regulated. And if you look at safety part of it, we have the Indian Factories Act, which came in 1948, and the state rules. There are different state rules which are there. Like if you take Tamil Nadu, has Tamil Nadu state rules, Karnataka has its own state rules, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, right, Uttarakhand. Every state has its own rules, right? And what we need to really understand from this is a central act, and the state rules therein, it's legally binding, right? This has been enacted after the article, right, from the constitution. So not the awareness is building now, and it is going to be tighter and tighter as years roll out. So what's important is this is not only for the social responsibility, even to meet the legal compliance aspect, we need to ensure that. And with the ESG framework, the environment, social and governance framework in place, right, this gets more traction. And the other aspect of it is the brand and reputation, right? Large industries have large brands. The brand makes everything, right? Its brand is a promise that's given. So, and it gives a stakeholder trust. So when an accident happens, generally what happens is, it spreads, the name gets spread. I used to work for an industry way back somewhere in Mysore, and when I go to a shop, they say that, oh, you are working in the company where there had been some fatalities, 3 or 4 people who died due to a hydrogen sulfide leak. So these are the things which we hear, and sometimes I feel shy. In fact, I was not even there when this accident had happened, but still, when you connect with the organization, right, and they ask you, right, they refer that to you, and it hurts. So that it's very important to have the brand and reputation. This is for large organizations. For medium-sized and small organizations, sometimes they cease to exist. There was a pharmaceutical company, I don't want to name the organization. There was a huge fire accident which happened, and it went to ashes, right? And I don't even know the name of the company today. I don't even think it exists. This happened around 15 years back. And that's another aspect that we need to give a thought to. And business sustainability, right? Sometimes what happens is it causes business interruption. So, the business is today very tough, right? A lot of effort is being made to make profit. And in that, if these kind of accidents steps in, right, it affects the sustainability of the business. So it's important that, the safety is not something which is a metric or a target. It's a foundation. It's a foundation stone wherein over that is the businesses are built. So it is non-negotiable, right? That's something which I leave it over here. And this is something an interesting stuff, right? The iceberg, right? How culture building happens, right? See, the reason why safety leadership is significant is this culture is built by the leaders, right? If you see here, what we can see from people who are doing, right? It may be top management, it can be the business owner, it can be anyone who establishes the business, right? It is his responsibility to see to it that the design aspects are ensured, because if a business leader makes a design, chooses a design that's going to last for the lifetime, right? Nobody establishes business for their lifetime, right? You are going to give it to your children and then to the grandchildren and so on, right? That's how some businesses are thriving, and it keeps growing. So if we make a wrong selection of design, wrong selection of technology, that's something which we are going to struggle for a lifetime. When it comes to doing, right, it's the whatever the culture which is visible is the visible culture is something which you can see as you walk around. So what's important again here is, when we look at we always think that behavior is all about the workman, right? When a workman makes a mistake, it hurts him or her and it causes his life. But when the same thing is done by its top management, the leadership team, in terms of choosing a machine, choosing a technology, choosing a chemical, right, that's going to be remaining for the lifetime. So that's something which we always have to give a thought towards it. And there is something called the thinking and the feeling, right? So what goes on in people's mind that we cannot always see. What is very visible is only the top, right? And if you look at, we all would have watched the movie Titanic, where the ship, they could only see the tip of the iceberg, and they kind of sailed over there and hit the rock at the bottom, the solid ice part of it, and then it has a big mishap. These things you can connect with the individual industries in your own way, right? Sometimes it's very important to see that when some accident happens, or when some incident like a small fire or a small some collapsing of something happens, a crane or a derrick or whatever, what it shows is, right, we cannot think that it's a one-off incident. It says that something is seriously wrong, right? That's what has caused, and we need to fix it. It is not that something alone which is the issue. It is about there are many other problems which may be underlying in the factory, right? We always look at when some incident or accident happens, we only look at that safety part of it. It's not just that part of it. There are other underlying stuff, that can be also impacted. And if you look at it, there is no company in the world which is very good in safety and bad on quality and productivity. If some company is really good, and they are good in all the three. If they are bad, they will be bad in all the three. So good organizations which lives for generations after generations, right, are the companies which care for the people who work over there, and they invest on the people, and establish systems and procedures that last the lifetime. So if you look at it here in this is the message I give. And if you go to the subsequent one, this is again a proven statistics by Professor Henrich, right? He gave the top part of the triangle, and I expanded it to the bottom, near miss and at-risk behaviors. See, in all the factories, if you look at it, right, we always look at, some when fatality or some death happens, we look at it, something big has happened. But we don't really look at something in the bottom. If you look at risk behaviors or near miss, right? If we don't fix these at-risk behaviors and some of the critical near misses, right? Something which people, tend to ignore, these incidents will hit us very badly. This statistic says that, if there had been around 3 lakh at-risk behaviors and some 3,000 near misses, then around 300 recordable injuries and 30 lost time injuries, that could be a fatal accident, right? But if you look at that, there won't be enough data to measure these at-risk behaviors, right? And behaviors are very important to be monitored, right? It's the safety behavior tells how he is going to do on quality aspect of it. A person will not do very good on production and quality and bad on safety. If the person is doing good, he will be doing good in all the three areas, right? That's something we need to look for. And if something is happening, right, on at-risk behaviors, it is very, very important that we correct the behaviors, right? And the person's behavior cannot be changed, but the correction of behaviors can be managed, right? I leave you with that message. And near miss are something where we call it as just miss, right? I just escaped from a bus which moved on the road, or a two-wheeler which missed on the road. Those are the near misses. Sometimes we have narrow misses. These near misses which we have put here as 3,000, it's a small number. If for each one of us who are here in this call, we have near misses on an everyday basis, right? It can be a simple slip. We don't even think about it. It can be something falling in front of us, or even a sharp object that we escaped of. All these things are categorized as near misses. And the recordable injuries or the medical treatment injuries, where you have some cuts or bruises, where you need a first aid and stitches and all that. And lost time injuries are something which is Factories Act reportable, right? Wherein if there is an injury and a person doesn't report to work within 48 hours, it is mandatory to report to the factories department. And then the top one is a fatality. Why we are talking about this, right? From a reactive approach to proactive, we generally say that, in a factory, hey, I didn't have a fatal accident. We had only one lost time injury. So it's, we cannot have these things by luck, right? By chance. So what's important as a leader is to recognize, right, in my company, even if it is 10 or 20 people working in an organization, how can I build the capability of the 10 or 20 people, right? And how do I ensure that those small incidents are properly investigated, right? And when you investigate incidents, you go on that, right? It can be the deficiency in the machine, it can be the deficiency in the processes, so on and so forth. So what's important is, when we make them to investigate, we make them to work on a particular area. When we work on the particular area, it also helps in terms of fixing the other issues on quality and productivity issues also. So I always try to integrate these three things, and it all the three should go hand in hand, right? So this is something which I leave it to you again here. How you need to reflect upon the place where we work. Are we in a reactive mode, or are we in a proactive mode, right? And try to connect it. So we went into the first with a Charlie situation. If I am the Charlie who is going to get burnt due to a chemical or a fire incident, it can be even a kitchen fire at home, right? Because the hazards that we see in a factory remains at home, right? We have an LPG, we have a burner having a flame, we have slippery bathrooms, we have sharp objects in the kitchen and scissors and all that. And we have two-wheelers, we have four-wheelers, right? Everywhere there is a risk, right? How do we manage this with acceptable risk is something that we are looking at. Okay, so move on to the next one. So how do we build the culture, and what is leadership is all about, right? Culture is all about, it starts with an act, right? It starts with a safety act, practice, habit, behavior, culture. So, it's a kind of, it's a complete momentum that should happen to transform into a culture. Culture doesn't build overnight. And organizations cannot build culture just by behavior corrections. It's all about, we need to have inherent designs.
Sir, you are on unmute, sir.
Okay, I don't know how it went. Sorry, it went to mute. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So when did it go for? Is it just now, or it? You are able to hear my past whatever I was talking about? Is it clear?
Sir, yes, sir. Past 20 seconds, sir.
About
Please repeat the slide.
about 2 minutes, sir.
Oh,
You can
okay.
repeat the slide. No problem.
Yeah. See, what I was trying to say is, this culture building takes time, right? It all starts with act, practice, habit, behavior, culture, right? So, nothing, building a culture overnight, right? It doesn't happen like that. So it takes time. And how do we do that, right? So to talk about it, let's take a small example, right? I used to, when I used to smoke long time back, right? It started as an act. Then it became a practice, right? I try to do on a daily basis. This happens generally. We can take any habit for that matter. And then it becomes a practice, and then becomes a habit. Then a group of people following the same thing is a kind of a accumulated behavior. And then in a particular region where everybody does the same thing, it becomes a culture. That we say that, we have a smoking culture, we have a safety culture, we have a quality culture. So these are something which is an accumulated habits, practices. and the attitudes and beliefs and behavior, what we truly believe in, right, as a social group, and how do we, imbibe into us, right? That's something which brings a safety culture. And this attitude is something which the whole organization should have to have. So how do we ensure that, right? So you don't need always an expert to do all these things, right? It can be done by each and everybody who's there in an organization. The reason is, right, there is no separate safety person or safety department for at home, right? We imbibe that. Like how a mom teaches a daughter how to do a safe cooking, how a dad teaches a son to do a safe driving, right? But when we do the safe driving, it's very important that we give the right amount of knowledge. I used to, when I just go around, during my morning walks, I see people, right? They take the children on the bike, right? They will be having helmet. The child will not have the helmet on the head. Or sometimes they go on the wrong side of the road to catch the bus or to drop the child in the school. So what are we telling the child, right? The child always follows the dad. It thinks that, if there is an emergency or if there is an urgency for exams or late to school, I can take the wrong route. So the dad is teaching the child something which he is not supposed to do. And that too, what happens is, he's doing it in a repeated way, right? Every day. In my society, as I move out, I see every day that, sometimes people, they take the kid. The kid won't have a helmet, but the dad may have the helmet, right? They think that it's a short distance, nothing would happen. Helmet doesn't protect us from, big accidents, right? It only shows that the person is a safe person. He has a helmet. So what's more important is, helmet is just, I would say, a small starting point, right? It is all about how we maintain the bike, how do we drive. A lot of things plays a role. The same thing if you kind of, expand it into an industrial environment, right? When you bring an employee into an organization, right? What kind of inputs we give to them, right? How do we train them? Right? Like we always tell them that you do good on quality, you need to make good production. But you integrate that safety component into it, he will do a much productive work than what he was doing before. So to just summarize this whole thing, it's all about, our way of working, right? It's always people first. That something should be there. That doesn't mean that, people can say that in the name of safety that, they'll be sitting idle and not, contributing to the productivity. It's not like that. And there should always be a belief that people, when they come to a work, they are coming to work. So it's only the thing is about how do we ensure that they do the job safely, not only for them, but also for others, right? That with a small note, I just move on to the subsequent slides, please. And these are something which is a very interesting stuff, right? It speaks a lot. This looks like a single slide, but it speaks a lot. The psychosocial factors, right? We look at leadership and culture. There are some, when I say leadership and culture, it's not for only big organizations. It applies to all level of organizations, right? Substandard leadership, right? We say something, but we do something, right? Like I was giving an example of the dad and the son, right? A small kid. The dad says that, you cannot do it, but I will do. I'm an elderly person. That message will never, the word won't be taken. The actions will be considered. So that's again in the factory. If you say that, I will say something, but when it comes to some crisis or a productivity situation, hey, today you do that. The moment you do that compromise on one day, that's it. That person will never change, because you will not be able to convince him, because he will keep that in his mind and say that in another day when you ask, he will say, no, that day you said like this. Particularly the contract workers who are there in the plant, right? It's very, very important that they are giving the maximum training and they are given the maximum skill building and other stuff, right? And it's always, another thing is important aspect with the psychosocial factor is fear-based culture, right? We generally think that, by putting our, force, like power, right? Making people fear, we will bring a culture. When people fear, they tend to do more mistakes, right? Because fear is something which is not going to drive good productivity. You need to bring the person to your side. For that, it's very important that we always convince them. They should believe that, this is something which I'm doing, not only for the company, for self. And this feeling of insecurity will make people to tell lies, hide things. So when you say that, when as a leader, I'm not asking them to report things properly. and we try to hide, we are giving a wrong message. When they do a quality mistake, they hide. When they do a productivity mistake, they will hide. So it's very important first to build on the basics. Safety is always a fundamental and a basic, and unless you fix this, you will not be able to fix the quality improvements and production improvement. My 3 decades of experience, I have seen this very visibly. The moment you build the fundamental, automatically your production will increase, productivity will increase, no doubt of it, right? And then systems and processes will complement the leadership culture, right? What does the leader behaves, what the leader believes, those kind of system will be put. If as a leader I don't believe in a system, then I will say no, you do in a way you want. When you make them to do the way they want, there will be 5 different ways people will start doing things. There will be inconsistency in the way of working. So that is how it is going to drain, right? So systems and processes are critical, and then the workload and pressure, right? See, today's world, there is a lot of productivity which has come in, right? The reason for the productivity is because of the technology, the applications, whatever is there, right? And whatever we used to do almost 3 decades back, we used to wait for a letter to come. We'll sign and put it in the in tray, then it will be in the out tray. One guy will come and he will take it to the head of the factory, and the head of the factory will send to the corporate office will send to the chairman. So it's a very long process. Today it's not like that. If a message comes, next millisecond it comes to others table in the form of email or in any form, WhatsApp, and it's a very fast world, right? And too much of content are out, right? And today it is about the contents are so much, we should know which is the right content, what should be used and what should be dropped. There is an information explosion which is happening, and choosing the right information is more important. And with the chat GPT and other thing coming in place, there is much more information which is flowing. So it's very important that that pressure need to be relieved. And there is also a burnout, right? Burnout doesn't happen only due to work. It can be due to their personal stuff. It can be due to their family situations. So these are the things also that impacts safety in your factories, right? And work-life imbalance is another area, right? If you always say that people, you have to kind of be available 24/7. Yes, they can be available, but there is always going to be a drop in their quality and drop in their concentration. So there is always a need for rejuvenation, right? That is, the resilience need to be built. And the rejuvenation resilience comes when people are given the proper adequate spacing and rest regimen. That's the reason why the ILO, they enacted that, if people are working for only 40 hours a week or 48 hours a week, and in some countries like France and other things, they were fighting for 32 hours a week. So there are a lot of things which is happening, right? But if you look at it, it's all about how productive are we on that 32 hours or 40 hours or 48 hours. If we think that by making people to do for 100 hours that they are going to give big productivity, I would say it's a misnomer, right? So psychosocial factors has a big impact on, see, when I talk about safety, please always count quality with it, right? These goes both way, are 2 horses, right? Which are put in the cart, they go hand in hand. So when we talk about the psychosocial factor, that is the one which comes to the individual. You can see the job, right? How it is intertwined. And you can see that the individual's competence, skills, personality, attitude comes with so many stuff, right? Whatever they have inherited. And the way they were yesterday may not behave today, and they won't be behaving tomorrow and day after. The reason for that is a changing situation, changing dynamics that happens in all the 3 areas. So it's very important to have job-related procedures, right? And ensuring that, okay, you are outside, you are having this kind of a mindset. But the moment you come into the factory or the industrial environment, this is the kind of ways of working that you need to do. And that itself relieves him from almost 50% of his, the mental stress and other stuff. Then the organization should provide that conduciveness for them to work inside, right? So this is something that I leave it over here on psychosocial factors. Just reflect on it. If anyone has anything to discuss, right, probably you may reach out to me anytime over the weekends, right? I'll be able to help you on that. And these models are set up, right? There are a lot of models which are available. right, which talks about how leadership drives culture, right? From a reactive culture, when you are reactive, injury rates will be high, right? If we genuinely the incidents and injuries, right, you will be thrilled. Wherever I have joined in my companies, I have seen that the incidents were low, and the first year when I joined, then when the reporting increases, they ask, oh, after you join, there are so many accidents. I don't cause accidents. These things happens because of the transparency in reporting. And why it is important, transparency in reporting? Because unless you bring it out on the table, you cannot solve it, right? If you are going to have, if there is a underlying illness, if you don't do a proper diagnostics, and based on the diagnostics you don't give the treatment, the illness is going to increase. So one day it will explode. That's what that statistics, that the triangle which I showed said, right? The fatality doesn't happen overnight. Fatality happens means something have organization. So from the reactive to dependent, right? In the dependent culture, which is more about supervision, right? Reactive is more about something happens, we will talk it for 1 week. Okay, that guy lost his finger, this guy lost his hand, this guy had a fracture. Then we will talk about it. Safety is important for 3-4 days or 1 week. After that, it is forgotten. Then the quality issue comes, people talk about it, it's died out. Then after that, the production stuff comes, people talk about it and it dies down. And then from that is called the reactive aspect of it. From there, the dependent aspect comes, right? We have some bit of training, some bit of rules and procedures. Most of the organizations, they will be in the second bucket. There comes the independency, where personal knowledge, commitment, internalization, personal values, we imbibe this, right, not in the individual's minds. That comes over a repeated practice, right? I was saying that act, practice, habit, culture. These 5 steps, right, this journey should keep on repeating, and we need to do spaced repetition of it. That's on the independent part of it. And then the interdependence is something which really is a good one. I would say that we always move toward others to confirm, right? There should always be a process confirmation. Someone says that yes, it's happening, we cannot go by that, right? It has to be validated, right? There should be more kind of workplace inspections, periodical audits. So why we do these inspections and audits? Because the person who is working in the same plant and the same factory, sometimes what happens is, they tend to miss out many things. The reason is, when we are at home, sometimes we walk past something without even noticing that, something is there in front of us. We search. Why we search? Because the eyes see, but the mind is the one which makes the eyes to see at it. So this is something which we need to really look at it, right? So these are the 4 models, right? From reactive, dependent, independent, and interdependent. Please reflect on where your organization or where you stand on it as an individual. And we need to correct as an individual, then the organization moves, right? And we talked about culture, right? It evolves in stages, right? Culture building doesn't happen overnight. To build a culture, it takes decades, right? There are organizations which expect a quick change, right? They hire an excellent person and they say that, I want next year there should be 0 accident. How will it happen? Because you are operating with humans, and there are numerous number of people who are working on it. And machines can be made robust. Humans cannot be made so robust because it takes time, and humans are more creative. So culture building takes time. So we need to establish our own internal processes, right? That is where the leadership stands. The drive movement happens, right? Behavior follows what the leaders enforce. I need to walk the path, right? I need to cast the right shadow. The dad was taking the son in the bike or a scooter. If he uses a helmet, the child asks, okay, why don't you get a helmet for me? And most of us, right, I have seen many senior people and many, I would say entrepreneurs, they have huge, big cars like BMW or, expensive vehicles. But the people who sit in the back, right, they don't use the seat belt, right? And I don't know how many of you are aware, but it's an interlock. The moment you don't use a seat belt, it doesn't recognize that a person is sitting and the airbag won't work. And, there are a lot of stuff which we need to understand that, these are all the cultural part, right? If we need to ensure that to protect our family, it's more important that not only to have a very expensive vehicle, the vehicle is strong enough to take the impact, but people inside should not be shaking as we have the impact, right? If such is a situation, if you take Princess Diana, she died in the car accident. It would be the world expensive car, but still she's died. It's all about what kind of behavior we exhibit even when we are seated in such expensive vehicle. It matters a lot. So it's all about culture, leadership, system, and so it doesn't stop, right? You today I do a session here. We are not going to transform over the next 10 minutes or 15 minutes. It takes time. That's the reason why we need to do this kind of mentoring and coaching and spaced repetition and driving it with a lot of effort. It's very much required to build the culture. That's what it talks about in DuPont Bradley culture model. And if you look at it on the Hudson safety culture, right, it also talks about in the same banner, right? And it talks about pathological, right? It's pathological means, right, till we have an accident or a fire, who cares, right? And the factory inspector or somebody doesn't bother us, who cares, as long as we are not caught. Or in the factory, if some of the senior management doesn't ask, people don't report. That's the kind of a culture if we are into today. That's pathological. From pathological, we move to reactive, right? People just tell in the lips, right? Safety is important. We do a lot every time we have an accident, right? So we say that, oh, I have done this. I have done some posters. I have given helmet and gloves. Helmet and gloves are not the safety part of it, right? That if you are in that state of it, you are in a reactive model. Calculative is all about, we have systems. If a factory is going to have good systems, right? We talk about ISO systems on, environment or safety, or, there are a lot more systems that are available. The systems are as good as how it is being practiced, right? So if a company is in that kind of a stage, it's a calculative. And proactive is what, we'll work on the problems that we will find, right? We don't wait for the problems to happen or something to happen. We will go and look out for the problem and solve it. That is something which is very, very important. And that's a proactive approach. And then the generative approach, right? HSE and safety both are one and the same. It's health, safety, environment, or environment, health, and safety, right? And it's how we do business, right? When I design a factory, it's I will ensure that the design aspects is properly taken care of, right from the entry to exit. How the trucks will come in, how people will come in, whether we segregate the man and vehicle movements, transport movements, and those kind of things you take care of in the design stage. You are not going to have major incidents for the lifetime. Imagine that we design something where there are a huge amount of vehicles that are going to come in, and there is no segregation of man and vehicle movement, and in-out is also not very clear, right? In-out gates, I mean. Then it's going to be a problem. Then you need to manage it by operational control every day. And people control are always daisy, right? There is always a fatigue that will creep in. When the fatigue creeps in, right, then accidents could happen, right? With that's a kind of a thing. So it's very important that creative culture is something which thinks about the design aspects, not only on the safety part, on the quality front, on the environment front, right? What kind of business am I doing here, right? How am I going to protect the people? And if we have the emotional connect and the personal aspect of it, right, then things will be much more advanced, and we don't have to think about the basic stuff, and you will be able to focus on the higher order of improvements and going to the next level. So this is again, it's a kind of a model which is slightly different in terms of the English and slightly varying content, but it looks at, if you look at this progressiveness, right, it helps an organization to assess where they are today, right, and how we are moving towards the next level, right? There are a lot of mechanisms to set up various culture assessments and kind of maturity assessment programs to assess whether the organization is in the pathological stage, reactive stage, calculative stage, proactive stage, or generative stage, right? And these things helps in terms of increasing trust and accountability. The moment the employees feel that my management takes care of me, it is going to reduce the attrition. That will be a respect that will go up. When people start that respect, even if you tell something beyond the working hours, people will tend to do over and above their regular stuff. So that's something. These are things which we need to look, which we tend to overlook it, right? Yeah. Move on to the next stuff. And coming back to, we have been seeing so many things so far, right? We saw first the Charlie's incident. we saw the elephant. That's more an interesting way. It's an ice-breaking kind of a stuff. We would say how these animals, when they care for the community they live in, and when they care for their own other elephants, right? How as a human being, right, we need to care for our people who live with us. And transformation journey is all about from level 1, right, where the managers are not very visible on safety, right? Over is managers, right? Even sometimes the owners are also managers when they manage the team below. And the supervisor, they focus only on the production part, and the rules are not followed, right? Do somewhere, get the production. I'm paying so much, man, I need profit. If you are in that mindset that you are in the level 1 status, from there we move on to the level 2 directive, right? Managers, there is a kind of set standard, right? If I'm going to buy a machine, if I'm going to put a chemical process, I will ensure that there is a standard equipment that I buy which has zero access to our fingers or hands, so that even if the person commits mistake, he doesn't get into an accident. And then we also have supervisors who are told what need to be monitored. Supervisor's role is more not just to calculate on the numerical numbers on production. They have to ensure that the safety aspects and quality aspects are also taken into consideration, and focus on following rules. The level 3 is more engaging, right? It's about dialoguing people, right? People are people. We cannot look at an equipment and think the people are also similar to an equipment. They have emotions, that some days they may be at a high energy level, some days they may be at a low energy level. How do the managers or the leaders, they engage with them, connect with them, understand them? That kind of empathy, we don't need to show sympathy, but empathy is very important. There is always a difference between empathy and sympathy. So empathy is something where trying to understand his issues and how we are able to complement and support during the crisis. So then he will come up and stand for us at the time of, any crisis for the company. Supervisors involve their team, and everyone is involved in any of the decisions. Mainly, the decisions are again, we will go. If it is shop floor level decisions, it is not something that we can just tell the people, right, you go and, do it. We need to have their buy-in. So that's something we need to ensure. The level 4 is embedded, right? Embedded is something where there was someone I was discussing too, right? They want to have a separate safety park built on a 1 acre community, right? It's a novel idea, I would say, but instead of that, we need to integrate it as part of the process, right? From the gate to gate, we need to have the integration built into it, right? So if we don't do that, then we will do everything in silos, right? And how do we do the integral part of it, right? For a simple example is, if you are going to buy a chemical, there should be a procurement gateway wherein we look at whether the chemical is safe to use in the plant, right? And if you are going to buy a chemical at home, we also think through that in the same way. So always we need to connect the home and the workplace, right? So when we choose the right chemical, then we are very sure that, it's not a cancer causing chemical or dangerous chemical, right? So that's the kind of a selection of chemical that happens, right? And if we still have to buy a chemical which are a little dangerous, then what kind of engineering controls we need to have? Right? Generally, what happens is elimination of the risk is the topmost one, right? We need to first look at how to eliminate risk, and can we substitute the risk with a little low level stuff. Then we look at, then comes the administrative control, then comes the PPE control. PPE is a low rung in the ladder. Between our helmet and the head, there is only a plastic thickness which is protecting. Between the glove and the hand, it is only a 2 mm or 1 mm thickness of the glove that is over there. So always the PPE is the last line of defense, and most of us know about it. So it is very important to look at how do I eliminate the risk, which can be done through the careful design in the initial part of it itself, right? And then excellence comes over consistently demonstrating excellent safety behaviors. So, right, this model can be applied. I always talk, when I talk about safety, I always bring in quality, because even in safety we need to have a quality. That's a kind of importance that quality carries with it. So safety and quality should be hand in hand, right? So it's very important that to have this kind of progressive approach to do a transformation. And transformation is a kind of momentum that need to be built, and the momentum can be built by the leadership who are running the operations, right? And we come to the almost fag end of the session, right? And I would say, if you look at why accident happens, right, you can see engineering failure, right, design inadequacy, and asset and mechanical integrity lacunae, right? We buy a machine. The machine doesn't live for its lifetime, right? It has its own age, it has its own lifetime, it has some own health. Like how human beings, we also have certain degradation. We maintain it by fitness, exercise, nutrition, and diet, and yoga and other stuff. So the same way, the machine need to be maintained, and machine speaks, and even a process speaks. If a machine is making a noise in your factory which is abnormal, I would say, then abnormal noise, it says that something is not okay, the bearing is an issue, or some guard is rubbing on the machine. If there is a process and if there is a leak happening in the process, it is crying. I used to tell in a very funny way to the train, because a leak is something which is crying. It can be a water leak, it can be a chemical leak, acid leak, anything it could be. So these are the things which we need to look at, and engineering failure is something which can cause significant issue, right? I didn't bring the point on Bhopal gas tragedy, and there are so many things which happened. The HPCL fire incident, so many numerous accidents and incidents has happened even after Bhopal, right? We still talk about the Bhopal gas tragedy which happened in 1984 due to the methyl isocyanide leak. But after that, there have been hundreds of accidents that have happened, even of same level of magnitude in other parts of the world. But what is important is to ensure that once we buy a machine or we make a design, it doesn't come for the lifetime. We need to maintain it. And processes and systems lacunae, operation and maintenance is a critical one. Again, we need to ensure that these things are done so that it is very good and sound for us to operate. And behaviors is an area where top management behavior, middle level, supervisor and workman, right? So the behavior is something which is going to drive the process and systems and the engineering designs and maintaining it, right? It's a big subject to cover. I would say that, it's a workshop to do for a whole day on these topics. But I know that all the organizations have the basic systems in place, but it is not that in safety alone, you can never be 99% and be happy about it. Right? If you say that the heart is functioning 99%, we will not be happy. Right? It is like that. Safety is something that you need to be 100%. There is no way we can be compromising even 0.001% on that. Right? And the takeaway message is cast the right shadow. What we want, we need to demonstrate. When we demonstrate it, we get it. Right? And if we fail on those principles, we will not get the desired level of outcome. That's the message I wanted to give on this here. And the true cost of accidents, that if you look at it, right, when an accident happens, who are impacted, right? It's the organization, the employee's colleagues, manager and supervisor, the family of the injured employee, right? These are some of the people who are some of the areas that gets impacted. And what are the potential cost of an accident, right? Physical injury to the employee, psychological injury to the employee, right? We always think that, sometimes when accident happens, there are some times, right, they are needed to come and work in the factory, right, for whatever reasons. But he doesn't come in a mentally sound form to the company, right? And again, he can be causing quality issues or productivity issues. See, an healthy employee is someone who will give good productivity for us. So it's important that, we need to realize it. Absence of employee, time away from production, time of absence, potential stoppages in production. So because of an accident, right, how it impacts on the people and business is in this way, right? Most of us know it, but we need to surface it out again and again, or else, we tend to, kind of overshadow that. And the important stuff for all these things is about business continuity, right? Reputational. We looked at it, right? The brand is always a promise, right? And when something goes wrong, it's a company's name and the brand that comes out, right? And the brand gets impacted. If we have an organization that makes food product, and about a big MNC which had a product and there was a problem in the product, the brand gets impacted. Not only in this country, it can get affected in other countries. Similarly, even a small company, when it gets affected, the brand gets affected, The reputation of the organization gets affected. Even if it's not at a global level, it can be even at a state level, district level, right? In the city level, town level, right? If I'm having a company, it's a small company, something goes wrong, my friends are going to ask what happened in that company which you're operating. I heard that somebody got hurt. And then the legal cost, right? When we talk about legal cost, you know that everyone knows about what are the implications of an accident, and how the statutory authorities, right, how do they deal with it. They visit more, and when they come, we need to engage the time that is invested on that, and our mind doesn't go out, right? It's there, bothering us all the time. And there are various other hidden costs which are there. So when we talk about cost of accidents, it's more, right? These are the things which are there, and the magnitude and impact varies from company to company depending on the size and nature. Yeah. Thank you, and I leave the floor open. Right, this is what I had as a content over here, and I have left the numbers and other things. If there is any questions, I think I'm on time. If there are any questions, and we can have a discussion, I would like to do. Sorry that I couldn't give a time to discuss in between, because it's difficult to manage the number of participants. So that's the reason. You can ask any questions that you might have, and we can have certain discussions over here. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. We'll now keep the floor open for question and answer. Participants, you may please unmute and ask your questions. Jayasanckar, there are a couple of questions.
Yeah.
The chat box.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me look, and I didn't open the chat box. Oh my God. I'm not able to. I'm getting some other chats when I open this. Can somebody read out it for me, if it is okay?
I will read out. Sir, Jayasanckar sir, fantastic presentation. I've always worked in confined space and working at height,
Yeah.
and in oil and gas. So, the DuPont and Hudson curve are foundational, I would say. But do you think they are outdated as modern EHS practice is moving away from the strict maturity ladder towards man-machine integration, improving flow of information, and then resilience and adaptability? That means focusing on organization capacity to adapt rather than just preventing incident. And towards this, we always say unsafe condition and unsafe act. And how do you monitor this? You have a pyramid structure of having observation, near misses, so when the number of observations are high, the mitigation to a fatality is very low. So predictability today, the modern EHS is probably, I don't say that DuPont and Hudson are not, but they are more foundational, and safety has gone beyond foundational to sustain current situation. And your views will be highly appreciated.
Yeah, thanks. I couldn't get your name, but anyway. So, see, I will respond to you. I think you asked a couple of stuff. First one is the relevance in today's world, right? See, this is only a maturity model. It's a philosophy, right? These philosophies, it holds good still, because it's all they are telling about how we are going to move from level 1 to level 2 to level 3, level 4, level 5. See, since this is more established and still, right, I have seen big corporates, when if I'm going to develop my own model, the buy-in is less, right? Because though I have proven few of my implementations, right, they always believe in DuPont, and I'm not saying they are good or bad, but I would say the relevance is still there from a philosophical standpoint. And as you rightly said, you also hit the bullseye on few things. Like, you are right, technology has evolved, but there are two parts, right? One is the management of it, the second one is the technology part of it. What do you call it? Is how you implement, right? how you apply this technology in today's world, that's something which has phenomenally improved, right? Those days we have for fire systems, we have fire protection systems. Today we have detection systems, which and early warning systems which are available. And not only that, today we have AI, wherein if you can set up the cameras, and these cameras can sense even the kind of redness or indicate. So technologies can help, but still the philosophies is always a philosophy, right? Our own grandma's philosophy, it holds good. So from that, I still feel it's needed, it's relevant. Next is about how do we gather the data. See, it's possible because we need to make people to transparently report every damn stuff which happens, right? For example, see, unsafe act, unsafe condition, all these things are behaviors. Even an unsafe condition is because of an unsafe act, right? So if you take 98% of these accident happens due to unsafe behaviors, and this behavior is not just about the workman, it's from every level. And 2% happens due to natural calamities like earthquake or tsunamis or cyclones, and something like forest fires and those kind of stuff which is beyond our control. So to gather it, there are different frameworks available where we encourage people to tell, right? Even if it's a small thing, hear it out, right? Sometimes what happens, right? Small organizations, when people come and tell, because they are overwhelmed with so many activities being done by a single person, we tend to ignore. We say that, can you not handle it yourself? If he is able to, he feels something is important to tell you, that is why he comes, reaches out to you, and he informs, right? There are models available, there are IT tools available to gather the behavior observations, coachings, and so on. So that's something which we can have and collect it and analyze the data. We can slice and dice the data to see which are all the behaviors that we need to focus upon, right? So
Very good, very true. Thank you.
yeah.
I asked this because we had a safe behavior program, and where, one person trying to look at the other person. If somebody is not doing right, it's his job to see that he stops it. And the right to stop the work when we see an unsafe condition or an unsafe behavior will create culture. So thank you so much for taking this topic. Is very close to my heart, and it was wonderful because finally you save every life. That is what is important in our as a human being. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jambu. Any other questions or anything? Any random questions also, it's fine. If
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. I am Kandaswamy. It was a wonderful session. A
Hello.
lot of insights and information you shared with us, and very, very useful takeaways. One small thing I would like to, suggest. One is the safety. When we talk about safety, one is industrial safety. We have industrial safety norms, standards, rules, and regulations. We have building safety in commercial complexes, office complexes, buildings, etc. The other one is home safety, where we have our own standards, norms, and disciplined life, and educating the family members how to be safe. That is one thing. The other thing is the road safety. Then there is a public safety during the public events, where we have to safeguard the interest of the public who attend the rallies or public events. We have seen in many of the cases, like as you rightly pointed out in your presentation, a lot of blasts have taken place in the industrial sectors, and also we have seen fire accidents that are taking place in most of the cities, like Mumbai or Delhi or Chennai. Even recently, the entire BSNL building in near Mount Road, I think, was met due to carelessness, negligence, and carelessness, and maybe due to circuit or something. All the records, documents, data, everything got into ashes. So there is a basic need for complete, as you rightly said, the cultural revolution should be there. It should come from within. The government also should lay down the strict norms and follow the safety procedures, be it a commercial building or any building for that matter, industrial safety, then road safety, uh, the discipline by the drivers on the roads while driving the vehicles, and public safety where we don't have any norms. We find a lot of stampedes, fire accidents that have taken place in the past. Many incidences we have come across. So my question is, even if there are rules and regulations by the state governments, by the central government, the norms and the standards, procedures, everything is there. But how many of them are really going to follow up? Which could definitely avoid such human losses, the loss to the exchequer, loss to the companies who lost the important valuable documents, the data, etc. So, in your opinion, what is that one has to do?
See, nice one. I think you gave the answer as well in that, right? See, basically, it's not that it is non-existent. You said about the fire and even public safety aspect, home safety, and all that. See, for industrial safety, there is a Factories Act. For shops and establishment, we have a Shops and Establishment Act, and the fire department provides NOC to residential buildings and factories and so on. Right? These things are existent. The problem is about adherence and governance. Right? It's very difficult to comment on it because we are in a forum, common forum, but as well, like as me, that it's also the enforcement authorities, right? To what extent they are kind of following it, right? Sometimes what happens, you are too honest and they look at you as an impractical guy. I used to say, even in a private organization I used to work for, I had a lot of challenges. The challenges for me is more on, when we say that these accidents need to be reported, they think we are an ideal person and you're not practical, and these things should not be done. So those conflicting situations comes. Actually, we have a beautiful law and we have a national building code is there, right? And even in the public thing, the first thing that need to be looked into is the public convenience and emergency aspects of it, crisis management. But if you look at it protocol wise, if you look at interestingly, if there is a political leader, there is a pilot who goes on the road to track him, and there will be 2-3 cars which is protecting him. There will be an ambulance which will follow him. There will be an ambulance in the airport. So unfortunately in our country, right, the power and authority takes certain things, right, which is followed very well, but commoner is someone who is deprived of something which is not right. The life is important, whether it's mine or if it's a
any human being, any ordinary citizen.
Yeah, so it's a collective responsibility. We have good laws. See, even if you look at the buildings that are made, if it's an earthquake prone zone, seismic zone, we have clearly told that this many level of buildings cannot be built. And if it is, there are coastal regulation zone which talks about you cannot be close to the sea. But there are certain things which the government also cannot do because there are a lot of things like vote banks and other things which they also look into it. So the controllables are something which I am talking about here, but there are uncontrollables, and so the individual need to take responsibility for himself, right? If there is a political area or a public speaking happening, and if we know that the crowd is going to be too much, or if there is a big temple festival which is happening, to me, even if I like to watch the Jallikattu, right? Because I like these animals and those kind of stuff. But I am afraid because there can be a kind of a thing which can happen to the spectator only most of the time. Okay.
Correct.
So that's, I would say, it's a personal responsibility people to take, and people like us, right? I would say it's about like the elephant and AABN to some extent. I would correlate. The reason is there is someone who has taken the lead in terms of providing these forums, not on this safety alone, on many other topics of interest. The same way, if we all start doing it, the things will definitely improve. But laws are there. Fire law is there. Every law is there in this country. It's all only the adherence and governance which is
Adherence and implementation, and as you rightly said, strict governance.
governance. That's an area where we need to focus upon. Yeah.
But I have a basic point, that
Yeah.
is the underlying fact is that the corruption.
Yeah. See,
That is one aspect.
see that's what I am trying to do. I in my little way is I did few things to some colleges where I plugged a few programs on safety in the curriculum itself, right? So not as a separate safety program, even in the engineering, in one of their semesters, in one paper, I tried to talk to the professor, and during their curriculum setting I was part of that, and we were, so these kind of interlinking is being done. Even in the schools also there are social science and environmental papers which are available, so the children are now more aware, and I think definitely in the coming years the awareness will shoot up, right? Even today people, right, they refuse to do certain things which are unsafe compared to before. So definitely the connection is getting established, and with the media and some WhatsApp and other medias, things definitely will further spread, right, and enhance. It's a question of time. So for the message I want to leave for the industries operating is, as awareness grows up, there can be a confusion also, right? What is a basic right? They will demand more than the basic right. That is something which is more challenging, right? So that's an area where we should put a toll gate, right? You can demand only to this extent. You have to take personal responsibility for what you are supposed to do. So if we get the designs right, everything should fall in place. Yeah.
One small thing I would like to add.
Yeah.
You see, in Shivakasi, a lot of unlicensed small units that are operating illegally, unofficially, making the firecrackers. And most of the small kids below the age, of 15 or 12, they are used for as laborers, and they are using their raw hands, using the explosives and making the crackers, and no industrial safety norms are followed. So the government or the local authorities also should take cognizance or note of it and take strict action so that the human lives are saved. One is the explosion part. The other one is the food poisoning.
Yeah.
They are using the raw hand, and they may not wash their hands properly. They may go and just start eating their food by hand.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. See, what happens again, the law is having always a, there is always a gap in everything. See, what happens, people circumvent. For example, this Factories Act and the licensing requirement is for factories operating with power with more than 10 people. So what happens if I am going to put an industry, I divide it in such a way that I have 5 people in my factory. I make multiple factories which are unorganized. I was telling before also, these statistics which is being showed here is only for unorganized sector where the reporting happens. There are, even in construction and, lot of construction activities happens, right? People get, fall incidents, there is fatalities. So these unorganized sectors and Child Labor Act is there. But how to see, people generally think that, if my child is my child, somebody's child is to work for me. Right. And we see in our own communities also, right? We have seen it. Right. So those things is something where the individual need to, unless the individual changes, right, it's going to be really, the moral policing is a tough thing, I would say.
It's a tough thing.
Yeah, moral policing, people should see. That's the area where things should improve, right? I need to look at, if my kid is a kid, other's kid is also a small kid, right? And they deserve the same thing. Right? That kind of a thought process, if it comes, things can get better. I think over a period it should evolve.
Well, last but not the least, I would like to ask you, what would be the role of AI and IoT in the implementation of the safety standards and norms in the industrial application and the road safety, etc.?
See, beautifully it has come, right? See, this AOT and, the AI, it's really getting shape, but it's not, I won't say it's robust because of, we also look at the cost effectiveness of it, right? Already the industrialists, right, they are having their tough time to make money because of the changing situations and all. And if you take the cars with ADAS, that's a good safety control we have. And whatever you have, irrespective of it, but if we don't properly govern it, then it can be catastrophic. And the second thing on the AI part in industry is, right, during the COVID situation, there was a company which did artificial intelligence monitoring for social distancing and nose mask adherence. And there are companies which monitors people movements through cameras and give corrections, announcements, informations, right? And I don't know whether when I went to Madurai once, I saw that in the policeman he was announcing about not don't jump the signal and all. It's about the moral responsibility. Somebody in that particular city has taken that extra 1 mile to get things done, right? So that is what will bring more harmony in the system.
They introduced in the airports also augmented reality and VR, virtual
Yeah.
reality,
Yes. So it will
during the COVID.
it will further improve, right? It is getting better, and as it becomes more user friendly and more application comes, the cost also will come down. So
Very right.
yeah, people are moving into that model, so that it's not only that, right? You can also monitor people movements in barriers like the boundaries and all, so that you don't you monitor the theft. Those things have come in the AI by cameras and all that. So it's improving, and it will get better and better. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. I don't
Yeah.
want to take much of your time, and others are all waiting in the queue. Thanks a lot. Thanks very much for your wonderful answers. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
This is Rakesh Verma, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Rakesh.
How are you, sir?
Good. Go ahead. Any questions?
Sir, I have some opinions. I need your comments on that opinions.
Yeah.
Sir, one thing we are saying that top management should involve in developing the safety culture and system. But as per my opinion, the middle management will play a key role in developing the safety culture and safety system, sir.
Yeah.
Like deputy managers, engineers, or anything. And next thing is what I observed in my 15 years of experience is even there is some mistakes from our safety persons also, sir, because they don't know which is priority and how to discuss with the management and on priority which we want to take to reduce the lagging indicators and everything. Even safety people are also having, I think that their mistake is also there. And one more thing, what I observe is the management is giving these safety jobs for unprofessionals also. Now in the market, how it was become is if anyone are free, someone are suggesting, do some safety course, you'll get a job immediately. So you can go only helmet, jacket. This type of opinion is there on the for the management. So I need your comments on this, sir.
Yeah, it's good. Thanks, Mr. Rakesh. See, it's like this, right? This session is more about if the leadership has a right framework, right, then these things all will get nullified, right? If you look at it, there are organizations which has certain job description which tells that, if you are an engineer with a safety qualification, electrical, then you will come to this kind of job. If you are an engineer with safety qualification, you will get into a nuclear factory. Those kind of things are there in some good organizations, but there is also a dearth of kind of safety professionals requirement in the country, and that's the reason why certain things are getting compromised. So there is no easy answer, but all the things remains with the leadership, and leadership is not about top or middle or supervisory. Everybody, the leader is a leader, right, and he can decide whom to hire, whom not to hire. Generally what happens in terms of staffing and hiring is the person who is in charge of the department is the one who is going to screen and do. If he decides to choose only the person who is well qualified and capable, it's fine. So to answer your thing, right, it will all take shape, right? Things are getting better, and if you don't hire a proper qualified person, probably the right intent and the right implementation cease to exist. So, but things will get traction soon, right? And I have seen this momentum, right? When I used to join my career in '92, we never had a safety department, but today there is a full-fledged safety wing, and a lot of things have improved. So, likewise, now we are a separate environment department, sustainability, With ESG coming in, there will be a lot more audits and supplier audits, right? Things will even a company which may be a small company supplying to a large organization, there will be large audits which will happen, right? And they may lose their chance of competing with the other vendors if they fail to comply with few requirements. So I'm very sure that things will get better over a period of time. It has improved a lot. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Hello, sir. This is Ankit, sir. Good morning.
Yeah.
Sir, my question is that now, like safety profession like us, now that, sir, like people working with us, born with before 90 or 80 also, and also not people working with us like generation J, we call Gen Z. Okay. So it is very difficult to manage sometimes. Just I want to know, sir, how to work with both that generation with the psychological safety. Like sometimes Gen Zs come and raise this point, and we are not closed within the time or due to some reason. So they highly demotivate or back to that safety and say these people are just only saying and nothing do like this. So how to work like a safety professional, a cycling safety, sir?
See, nice one, interesting stuff. See, this challenges is going to be there, right? New generations are going to come year after year, or decades after decades, I would say. And now the generation gap has come between every 3 years, the generation changes. So, see, it's not about the generation, right? It's all about, life is all about equal irrespective of it. And particularly Gen Zs are more smarter. They are very fast and they have come for a comfort environment, or they are very clearer, right? They don't only look for money, they look beyond that, right? So I would say that, handling Gen Zs is more easier, and they will be more outspoken. They won't accept things, the normal stuff. If things doesn't take care of their basic health requirements and safety requirements, I have faced a few people who have left some very good companies with good jobs and good packages. So that's the kind of a thing. So there is an attention span issue which will be there, but I think with the technological intervention, things can be plugged. And it's all about how we manage it, right? And those population need to be targeted in a different way in an organization, right? The organization need to group the categories and need to mold and mentor them. So that's going to be the future interesting project for many of us, right, in terms of how we are going to develop them. Yeah, thanks.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, good afternoon.
Very good, sir. Yes, sir, I have one question to you. It is related to the NDC 2015. Still, the many industries are not aware about the NDC 2016, Part 4 Life and Safety. So, how, as a consultant and an industrial safety expert, it is important to give awareness about NDC 2016, and even in case the customers have to treat as per NBC 2016, they are asking us to deviate and do it. So, how to overcome those issues?
See, I have this challenge is there. Even I have seen this with other architects who also said the same thing. Not on the NBC part, on other structural codes, because some of the structural codes, the cost goes up, so they try to compromise on it. See, it's always about that's what this particular program is all about, leadership, right? And it's when the deciding authority need to be absolutely clear that whatever projects or whatever we are going to do, it's not for our generation, it's for the generations to generations, right? So it's that process which should go. And again, to tell on the awareness part, see, we are going to fix on the design, right? There is a process called management of change, right? MOC process, where when any new design aspects is being looked into, we always recommend that these are the right standards that need to be followed. And other thing is there is a lot of awareness which is being built in various forums and seminars on these NBC and other codes, right? So definitely, these things will take shape. It's more everything. We were discussing with one of our friend before, right? It's about the enforcement, right? Unless the enforcement is very clear on the sound design principles and the approvals, right? These things will always have certain compromise stuff. So it will improve only by more awareness and leadership, right? And somebody, we always need to really fight for what is right. Right is something which we need to work on it. The moment we start working on it, things will get better, right? It's very philosophical, but that's a reality. There is no easy way of saying that this is the one which we need to follow. I hope I could meet up your expectation on the questions, but it's a tough question, I would say.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Understood, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Jayasanckar.
Yeah. Hello.
I am Padmaraja Ramanathan.
Yeah,
Understood
Mr.
from Gopi sir, you are from 92 batch. I am also 92.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. It was a good presentation. Not a question from my side, but I also work in several projects and many oil and gas like this. My personal this thing to make the team or the other person to understand safety is how much important. You also told the same thing. Two points. One is self. If any safety failure, the person himself will get injured. Even if he lose his finger, it's a lifelong. Whatever compensation he gets, it will not match.
Yeah.
So the everybody self they have to take care like this. And for senior managers and management, you rightly said, it's like they spend lots of lakhs of rupees to do marketing. The same safety failure, if it happens with the present social media, it will spread like fire and it will be a negative remark on that company. So these two things I always tell whenever talk about safety. Other than that, one more thing, even when we start in the family, safety is not only important at the workplace, even at the home also it is important. Whenever we start for a tour or anything, I tell my kids and whoever comes for the tour, we all are going for this many days trip. If anybody get injured or anything happen on the safety part, whole tour will be collapsed. So everybody is responsibility to take care like this. Just I thought of
No. I
reiterating.
think, thanks, Mr. Padmaraja. I think now I could recollect your face. And as you rightly said, that these are the things which one need to always, bear in mind, right? It's about personal thing comes first on top of everything. The moment the personal aspects is addressed, the other industrial aspects is taken care of, right? So thanks for your inputs. It's also, it reinforced my thoughts.
Jay.
Yeah.
It was a nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, Vishu, I thought you had a question.
Anyone has a question?
From an MSME perspective,
Yeah.
the real problem is we are not getting enough workers. We are actually bringing workers from UP and Bihar.
Yeah.
And if you insist on even wearing PPE, they quit, they walk out. Actually, we have to, I won't tell in their face, but the reality is that we beg them to stay. Today, you cannot run industry, which I have also seen even in software industry. They are least bothered about health. They invite experts to do health talk and all that. But the HR manager is scared. If they insist on the software engineers being healthy, they'll quit. they'll move on to another company. So, I mean, uh, it is, my life. Why do you bother? And in spite of telling, if any accidents happen, the company itself will close down. They don't care. This is the reality. So, I mean, really, it's a puzzle because the backbone of this economy is MSME. All
Absolutely.
rules and regulations are for corporate manufacturing, big companies, where in fact the rules also say any industry with less than 10 people doesn't even come under the purview of factory inspector. Uh, as if small people working in small industry, their lives or health is not important. And and letting a factory inspector in the company is like letting a bull in the China shop. They cannot afford the corruption that goes on. I'm sure. I mean, you may not speak openly, but you cannot get a factory license without corruption. So, I just want to share the reality.
No. See, the reality, you talked about two things, right? This migrant workers. See, one of the biggest risk in the future is going to be that, right? I had in my ESG deck, not in this deck. The biggest risk is about people will go back to their parent place, right? And we will have dearth of resources available. There are two things why it happens. One is, in one part of the country, you get labor who are less cheaper than the labor who are available here. And the other aspect of it is the labor in the, say for example, in the states, in some of the states, they are highly skilled, or they are a little more, they have built their knowledge. So they are trying to move to a higher level of a job, and for menial jobs or jobs in, say, shops and bakeries and small areas, what happens is we bring, even construction sectors, they bring people from other states like Bihar or other parts of the country, right, or northeast and all that, right? So it's not that they leave, right? It's hard to be told in a proper manner. See, generally when we say things in a threatening manner, I have worked in biscuit factories where almost 30-40% of the people, they were brought from there, they were made to stay here in sheds or some common places, and they bring. So once they are assured of certain amount of salary and certain amount of jobs, right, they listen. Only thing is, when we push them or when they were unreasonable in certain expectations, they tend to change, because they have an opportunity to, when they moved out of Bihar to Tamil Nadu or Karnataka, they don't mind moving from Karnataka to Tamil Nadu or Tamil Nadu to here. That's how it is, because I have moved out of my parent place. So there is a mechanism how we can make them to do it, and they are those people also, they care for them. I have worked with more than 25 years with these people. Little bit you have to touch their emotions and they will do it. That's I have investigated a fatal accident in one of the factory 3 years back, and the co-worker who survived that accident, he went back to the Uttar Pradesh and he said, I will not do this job again on a rooftop work, right? So coming back to the software people, they are knowledgeable, they are aware, they are conscious, but the thing is about maybe their work regimen and other things are completely haywire. So they are also facing the 30 to 35 year old or 35 to 40 year old people, they are facing a lot of crisis on ergonomics, and ergonomics is work law, and they face back pains and lot of other issues, right? So basically, if they don't follow it, they are going to be I used to use a strong word, sorry to use it here, it's called HR scrap, right? If the software people, the moment the company depends on the human being is a resource. In a factory where I used to work, we have machines, and then we have people to work on the machines. In a software industry, it's only the computers and the people. The moment the people are not able to take care of the health and they are not able to deliver what they are supposed to, they will become a HR scrap, and there is no union to protect or anything to protect them, right? So obviously their entire lifestyle will go to a jeopardize. So it's a big challenge which is there in front of us, and we need to, that's one of the reasons that I also do a lot of sessions And I'm a passionate guy in this field, right? I do a lot and I keep talking to people, but it's we need to be persistent, right? See, we cannot change the whole world, but we need to tell them, right? Once I was driving down in a car to airport, and I told the driver that if you don't use a belt, the airbag will open, and you we can get killed. He said, sir, you're very negative in the morning. That's what he said. So people are different, it's going to be that way. But we have to, few people who are like minded, who are in this profession, right? We need to be persistent. I'm doing this for last almost close to 20-25 years. I say 25 plus years. And 8 years I was in manufacturing before. And that's how it is, right? We need to care for the community, and we need to do what we have to do. Thanks.
Yeah, I think Lakshmi. Nikam sir, we want to say a few. Anil sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Excellent session, sir. Excellent session by Jaya, sir. Thank you very much. Earlier, we were in, protecting economy, and now the economy is open, rather not only pan India, but globally. So competition is so severe, and people are falling. There is every day people are copycatting the product, whatever you are making, and the rates are going down every day. So because of this, the profits are very shrinking, and people are facing a lot of problem even to attain the break-even point also. So this is also one of the reasons, the most of the industries, they are only focused toward the productivity and the other thing, let the thing keep going, and the safety aspect, it take a back. So this is one of the reasons what I am feeling. But the session was overall very good. So I will request him to have another session which will take care of burglary, air pollution, water pollution, these type of things. They are also part of the safety. So kindly help us to understand more on those subjects. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I will do certainly on sustainability part. Yeah, after based on the request from them, and I'll definitely do it. I'll be more than happy to do on these topics, because I go to colleges and deliver some lectures for the students, so that they get at an early age, they get to understand these things. So we will do that, and we'll continue to do that. Thanks for the thing. And these challenges are going to be there, right? Because competitions are there, the duplications are there. That's why the constant evolution is happening. So even for the software people, that is a challenge, right? With AI coming in, those who are not updated are outdated. I don't know whether you would have known about Professor Rangarajan, who used to take energy technology for me in sixth semester. He always tells, if you're not updated, you're outdated. And that he said almost 35, 40 years back, and it still holds good for us. So that's a mantra which we should follow to stay on top.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Mr. Gopi, are we done, or is there, I think, pretty much...
It's done. We are done. We are done.
Best thing.
Anyway, thank you very much for joining us on Sunday morning, Jayasanckar.
No, it's a nice opportunity, and not only that, it helped me to do some kind of, I'm contributing something in some form for the university that I work for. Just to tell some of you here, I did a paper on safety and the law in 2008, based on the request by T.R. Saranan, one of the professor here, still working over there. So in some way, if I can be of help, I'll be happy to support. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and thanks everyone for being there. And we'll connect again in some form.
Best thing you told is moral self-policing. This is the best thing you told.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, Jaya.
Thank you.
Nikam, you want to say something?
Yes, they are nice to see you after a long time.
Hi, Shiva. Yeah, go ahead, Shiva bhai.
Yeah, I was not sure that I will be able to attend this because I'm in one of the marriage function.
No, thank you so much for joining. You can speak as good as me. So nice that you attended. That's very nice of you.
Yeah, presentation was excellent there.
Yeah, thank you so much.